language we will say ndewo, jokwa, and my dialect will say jokwa, and my language will say ndewo, ebiana. Okay, for those of you who don't understand that, that's Igbo in African. Just my name is Damondoko, and we're going to be talking about how to validate a business idea. Now, there's so much to talk about in this particular video. I want you all to just calm your breath, pull your popcorn, and sit down, because this will take just a little while. But then I promise it will feel full of so much value. So, why should you validate your business idea in the very first place? Simple. Validating your business idea is going to save you time and money, because if you create something that nobody wants, you've just spent all that money and time in building a product or service that nobody wants to pay for. And we do not want that to happen. Trust me, been there, done that. It was a horrible experience for me. Now, the first thing to do before you run off to validate your business idea is simple. You need to define your target audience. Because if you have target audience wrong, the people that you'll be using to validate your business idea could be giving you the wrong answer. How do you define target audience? Follow the link in bio straight to my website. You're going to land on the page for this video, and you're going to see where to download the 20 questions cheat sheet that would help you to define your target audience. 10 of them are available free. The other 10 you have to pay just a tiny amount to access. So after defining your target audience, the next thing that you need to do is define how you're going to reach them. So how do you reach them? Before you answer this question, you have to answer this other question, which is, where are they located in the first place? Are they online? And if so, where are they online? Are they offline? Are your friends and family part of your target audience? Because after defining your target audience, you will now have to pull out samples to work with, people that you will now use as the testing ground to validate your business idea. So once you define their location, you can now worry about reaching them. And how do you reach them? There's so many methods to use. You have been able to pick out their location, and you have been able to define how you're going to reach them. What you want to do is you want to write out the assumptions that you want to measure during the process of validation. So what I mean by assumptions is this: until your business has become a business, you're selling your product or service and people are paying for them, you do not know anything about your business. Everything that you think that you know about your business is just a hypothesis up until proven true, up until proven to be fact. And what is a hypothesis? Exactly. So what you want to do now is to list out all the things that you want to validate using this process. For example, price, interest, target audience, description, marketing, all of that. You probably want to validate that. But in bits, when you're starting out, you want to focus on A, are people interested in this product? B, price. C, is this the right target audience for my product? Now, onto the thing that will cap everything is, what is the method that you're going to use to actually validate your idea? And this is where defining how to reach them also comes in. And I'm going to mention 3 different methods that you can use. The first one is when you decide to use surveys, polls, you interview them either in person or via calls. You create a short video, run an ad on Instagram, and in the video you basically just explain what your product does, and then you ask people if they would be interested in your product, and if they would be, they should click the link below in your video and sign up. Okay, so this is one of the basic ones. You can create a poll on Twitter, you can create a yes and no option, even a poll in your Instagram stories, right? You can build out a survey and ask people to fill it out on social media. You can even create an ad, like I mentioned, around it. This is like the first method that you use. Now, in using this type of method, you want to note some things. Number one is you want to make sure that whatever questions that you're asking are very clear for people to understand exactly what you're asking them. It should not be ambiguous, and it should be really easy to understand. Two is that you do not want to ask too many questions. You want to keep it short, 5 questions tops, so that people don't get bored and like decide to disappear. 3 is that when you use any of these methods, you do not try to explain yourself and try to prove to the person that you're interviewing why they should give you money for this product or service. Nope. The idea is to get their feedback without trying to impress them or to push them to see why they should pay you for a product or service. Another thing to consider is when you're using this method, especially the interview method, and you're interviewing people that are close to you, you want to try interviewing them in the negative. So you want to try by bashing a business idea and then asking the person what they think about it. Now this is especially if they are close to you. So first you bash the idea and then you ask them what they think about it. And the reason why this works so well is because your business idea is like your baby, and nobody close to you wants to tell you that your baby is ugly. Okay? Then tomorrow when you become successful, you're going to go on the podium and say, lots of people told me that this would be a failure, that I was wasting my time, but I fought. Nobody wants to be the one they're referring to in videos like that. So ask in the negative and people will be super willing to answer your question without even knowing it's a question in the first place. Final note, if you do not understand an answer and you're interviewing somebody, do not pretend like you do. Ask them a question that would help clarify, or simply ask them to clarify the answer. Method number 2 to use is called the landing page method. Now the landing page method is simple. In this situation, you create a landing page, you put an image to describe your product, for example, maybe a mock-up for your product. Online, you put the price, right? And then you set it as if your product already exists. And you ask people to pay, or for people to sign up to get the product when it launches. Now, people believe that this product is already in production or it already exists. What you want to do is that you want to lay back and see if people would actually sign up to use your product. So you might choose to advertise your product for one, run an advert for your landing page, or just share it with your audience and see how many people would go to pay for the product without knowing that the product is not even ready yet. The third method is by far my absolute favorite method, and this involves actually creating an MVP for your product or your service and launching it and then selling it like you have so many of that product available and asking people to pay for it. Now, in this situation, what you do basically is you build a minimum viable product. So what you do is that you focus on the core features of your product or service and you launch around those core features. Now, your product will not have all the fanciful things that you want it to have, right? You may not have an online store, but the point is that you launch the product or your service with the core features. For example, a retail company launching simply with an Instagram handle and their products, just to see how many people will be interested in buying the MVP. I once saw an ad of a woman that was advertising this flask that people take to the gym, and it had a very different style to it. It's her invention, and she was advertising it. But in the ad, she had 4 different MVPs of that product. Now, these 4 MVPs were in different colors, and she was advertising it to people to buy it. Now, why do I love this method above the other ones? Simple. Because the major way to validate a product, a business idea, is to actually charge for it. It's crazy. If people are willing to pay you money for something, that means there is market there. And if one person pays you for something, trust me, 10 other people will pay you if you get your pricing process. So these are the methods that you would quickly use to validate your idea. And you can pick anyone that works for you. I personally always pick the minimum viable product. And in picking this method, you also have to note that when you're starting out, you don't want to get too fancy. Find the most affordable and effective way to bring your product to life. So what is the most effective way that you can use but without spending so much money to create an MVP of your product and launch it? Now, after doing this, you want to execute. Now you have your methods for validating. Now you know who your target audience is, you know where they are, you know that they are online, offline, you know exactly how to reach them. Now you've also been able to list your assumptions, which is things that you want to validate to make you know, yes, this is actually something that will work. Once you've done this, you have to go ahead and execute. And this is where too many people get stuck, because we are afraid of rejection. Look at it this way: you are doing yourself a favor. Would you rather stay in your house, create a product or service, spend money, time, hire people, only for the product to just be sitting in your house? No. So instead of freaking out because you're afraid of being rejected, look at it as an opportunity to solve a real problem, save your money and time, okay? Once you change your perception, trust me, to be easier for you to get out and get this thing done. Now, some key notes to take into consideration when you're trying to validate your idea. Make sure the questions that you are asking actually match your assumption. Don't ask questions that do not match your assumptions, because what will happen is you'll be getting responses, but none of those responses will be able to validate the things that you want to validate. So you want to make sure that whatever you're asking is actually in line with what you're trying to validate. For example, say I believe that people are willing to pay 5,000 naira for my product. If I start asking them a question that is not connected to that, for example, I start asking them, did you ever buy this type of product for 5,000 naira? That's neither here nor there. Versus if I ask them, what is the maximum price you're willing to pay for this product? What I do is that I'm actually validating price by asking that question. So what you want to do is always set questions that actually validate what you're trying to measure, so that you do not get back invalid answers and invalid feedback. There you go, guys. Exactly how to validate your business ideas before you go out and get it going. I leave a lot more detail on the website. Follow the link below. It will take you straight to the website. If you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button before you leave and the notification bell, so that you get to know when a new video has gone up on my YouTube channel. That's the most you can do to support your girl. Okay, thank you for watching, and see you guys next week Friday with a new YouTube video. Love you all. Bye bye.